This episode is brought to you by our wonderful sponsors at Griffin Air Conditioning. Visit them at griffinair.com.au. The great ones, they're different. They really are. Not better, just different. Sure, there's a physical power, a mental strength, a complex but resolute constitution too. There's a whole lot more than just the measurables. That's something else, that intangible. It separates us from them. Welcome to the Legends series on Andy Raymond Unfiltered. It's a tale about a kid, a wild one with the world at his feet, how one moment can change a life. It's about promise, tragedy, starting over and fight, a whole lot of fight. It's a name you may not have heard, it's a story you'll never forget. But who is Darcy Ward?
Who is he? Tough question to start off with. I mean, now I am a husband, and I like to call myself retired.
Nice.
But obviously tragically injured. But just a old Speedway rider that was had a destiny to be someone great and tragically cut short and stopped in my tracks, as they say.
What is Speedway motorcycle racing? We'll try and paint a verbal picture for those not familiar with it. It actually started in Australia back in the 1920s. They're custom-made bikes that race on a dirt oval about 500 metres in length. The bike itself, methanol-fuelled, 500cc engine producing up to 85 brake horsepower. That is an amazing power-to-weight ratio and no brakes. So I'll say that again, no brakes.
Don't need them.
You do need brakes on anything, Darce. Is that a fair introduction to the basics?
It's a great introduction. Yeah, people, in saying that with the bikes and how crazy you've just made it sound, I've had a lot of riders in different disciplines that have come over to Speedway and had a go and gone, no thanks.
Yeah, I bet.
The no brakes is something that fears people, I think, the no brakes. But, they're designed to go sideways and they're designed to do what they do. So you grow up riding them and doing it, then it becomes sort of natural and it doesn't seem that crazy. But, that's a good way. And faster than an F1 to 0 to 100.
Is that really?
Yeah.
Wow. How did your motorcycle journey begin?
My old boy, mate. I guess that's where the DNA starts with anyone in any type of sport that makes it, I guess. My old boy was just a local weekend warrior riding here in Brisbane, and it was a bit bigger back here in the day. So
yeah, it was.
So there was a bit more of like the English boys that would come over and do test match. So he actually rode for Australia as a reserve 1 year or maybe a couple of series. I don't quite know, but I guess he put the DNA into me. And then just growing up, he just pushed it into me, and obviously I loved it, so it wasn't a push, but it was what was put in front of me and something I chased.
You're a rare talent from the very beginning. Were there any thoughts in those early days this could be a genuine career, or was it a young kid having fun and just ripping in and tearing?
Yeah, a tough one, because I always look back and think, what did I think when I was younger of, did I want to make it, or where was I going with it, or what am I going to do? But all blank to me, to be honest. I was just enjoying it. Just, we were a poor family, and my parents and mostly my dad, my parents were split up at the time. And so my dad was the bike guy. That was the thing we did on the weekend. So it was sort of his push, but obviously mum had a part in her little part in it too. So have to give her credit. Yeah, no, it was just something that was, I don't know if I wanted to chase it. I watched it a lot. I watched all the top boys and obviously got to see something that was high, the top level. But the top level, so maybe that engaged me to that's where I want to be. That's what I want to do. But it was not something that me and Dad sat down
and mapped out a future
no,
with
not
you.
at all, not at all.
Das, what made you so good so young, or what makes anyone so good so young on a bike? Is it talent? Is it natural ability, determination, huge balls, being crazy, a combination of everything? What is it?
Yeah, I think a bit of everything. I mean, we just touched on my dad giving me the DNA and racing every weekend and traveling Australia. I rode a push bike to school every day. I went to the skate park every day. I played football. I did everything. So, I mean, just being an active kid and then just riding my push bike every day and racing my motorbike. And when I go to Dad on weekends, we had a track in his he had a bike records at the time and had a track in his front yard where I'd practice Speedway. So,
Lovely.
so I was privileged in that way to have everything right at my everything thrown at me and to take what I can get, you know. So just that combination and then I was obviously had the natural talent, but then I also was a bit loose and
love it,
and was a bit wild on the bike. So I mean that come from where I grew up. I grew up in Camira in Springfield and got in a bit of trouble with the boys when I was younger, just being kids. But that made me who I was, and I wasn't scared to do anything on the bike. Everything. Anybody who becomes any good at anything, it's a group of things that, especially motorbike racing. All these like Marquez. He didn't just ride road bikes. He's the best because he can throw a motocross bike around. You can give him anything, and he can do it. So. It's all about your structure and your DNA of, growing up. And when you get to that point of your peak, it's what you got there from what you did earlier. So
You're listening to Andy Raymond Unfiltered. Check out the website, andyraymondunfiltered.com.au.
Were you the original wild child on and off the track?
I mean, there's been some before me, but if you ask a lot of people that have seen me and then the people before me, I think I give it a good run. I give it a good nudge. Man. But look, it comes with problems too, I guess.
Couple of national under-21 titles. You moved to the UK in 2009 to go racing. Speedway is huge over there and in Europe. For a young man, that's also a massive life adjustment. What was the move like?
Yeah, it was crazy winning, like I said, just a national title before I went, but then to go over there as 16. I was fortunate enough that my dad come with me the first year. I didn't have a license and couldn't get around and figuring it out. I moved to the other side of the world. We lived in a caravan at the track for the first year together, and it was an experience. But the first year there was a lot of people trying to direct me, and a lot of people that wanted to help, and we wanted to do our own thing. We'd got this far by just my dad and a couple of people directing us, so we really didn't listen to many people. And
sometimes advice is lovely, but an overload of advice becomes overwhelming.
Yeah, well, they're all not going to be right for me, are they? They might have had different experiences that have been good for them or for whoever they help. But for me, I was unique and different, so we wanted to just go on our own feet and do our own thing. So yeah, but to go over there when I was 16 and live in a caravan for the first year and you know what? It was great. It was one of the best years I had because there was no pressure on me. There was no nothing. I mean, I was a young kid that had just been coming into the spotlight and everybody, obviously having an eye on me of who I was and where I was going to go and had a target on my back at a very early stage.
Certainly did.
So it was a wild year.
We'll return to your racing career, but this is probably more so a story about overcoming adversity and personal challenges than a story just solely focused on sport. 5 years ago, almost to the day as we sit here, August 23rd, 2015, your life changed forever. What happened?
Yeah, man. It was a good day. We were winning, and I'd just come back from a suspension that I had from the sport. And I'd just been back for about a month and a half and didn't, when I come back, I was as fit as ever. I was obviously determined because something was taken away from me, and my dream was on pause. So when I come back, I was hungry to chase it, and obviously I had a motorbike crash, a speedway crash, and that has left me as a quadriplegic with a C6 injury spinal cord. So a bit devastating, of course. It's dramatically changed my life, and that life I lived before, I don't live much of it anymore. The whole day that happened was just a tragic, mate. You can't pinpoint anything about it, and there's nothing that will be pinpointed about it. It was just one of those days that, unfortunately, is just it is what it is.
You're in second place. You're going round the corner. Your bike accelerates and almost bucks in a horsing term. Your front wheel clips the leading bike and you high side. You land very awkwardly on the back of your neck, but then you also crash into the barricade that surrounds the speedway.
At some speed.
At speed. What do you remember of the actual accident, or is the night a complete blank?
No, all of it, mate. I remember it all, yeah. So that whole race, we'd already won as a team, so I wasn't worried about it coming second. I was cool. I've had a great day. We've already won. He's fast. Yep. We don't need to chase him down. So I was looking after my teammate a bit, and the whole race was just me being chilled. Like I didn't want to pass old mate, but I just happened to be just too fast, to be honest. I've watched it with a couple of mates, and we talk about it, and just the way I rode and the way I rode my bike, I was almost too fast, and it didn't, because I was relaxed. Didn't realize how quick I could catch him, and just clipped his back wheel and tucked the neck. And as I tucked, my body compressed my spine, and then slid into the fence. And the compressor of the spine when I tucked is what done the damage. But then when I hit the fence, it dislocated my neck and broke my arm.
Want to know what's coming up on the Legends series? Stalk us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at @TheAndyRaymond.
I remember laying there and the paramedics coming over and saying, "You're right, mate." And I was like, I can't feel nothing, like stressing out. Can't feel nothing, but my arm hurts. But and then I'm in Poland too, you got to remember. So like old mates come over like half broken English going, "You're right, mate." And I'm like, I can't feel nothing. And then once we mechanics come over who work for me and got into the ambo, I remember everything. And then just remember, of course, the lights when you're laying down, the lights in the hospital flashing over your head. And then the next couple of days were a bit of a blur, quite medicated up, obviously, and after surgery and that. But tough times. They were the toughest times. The first week of realization and the first month. But the first week was tough. But the first month was hard. But the first week in Poland, I'm in the Polish hospital, third world. Yeah, in a crazy way. Not that bad, but in its way, it's
a very different world.
It's a very different world. No English and stuff. Yeah. So. Yeah, it was tough. But we got through it.
When did you realise this is serious?
Maybe when I first did it.
Yeah.
I mean, now I look back, but at that time, did I know? Tricky one, but for sure when I woke up and within the first couple of hours and people around me, with Chris Holder and my Monster Energy, Joe Parsons, it was probably for sure the first 2 hours straight away, mate. You're pretty stuffed up. Yeah, laying there on the bed, you know what's going on, and you know it's no good.
So you're taken from the track in an ambulance. What's the process from the moment you arrive at the hospital?
Don't remember. We went straight. I remember a bit of phone calls going on because the doctor who can do the surgery was not there at the time. Okay. So he lived nearby, but so he had to come in. They had to call him up and get him to come in and do the surgery. But he was also watching the Speedway, the doctor. So he was already well aware that I was on my way to hospital.
He knew he was getting a call.
He knew he was getting a call. He wasn't sure, but he's obviously a very good doctor in Gilanagora, which is the town that I crashed in. So, yeah, just straight to surgery, mate.
So the diagnosis was immediate. They knew what had happened and what needed to be done to fix it.
Yeah, straight away do a CT scan and busted.
Trying to get an understanding of how you're feeling at this point. You've got this type of news dropped on you. You're in a heap of pain. You're confused. You're probably feeling very alone lying in hospital, and you're in a Polish hospital with doctors in broken English. Not a lot's going right for you so far tonight.
Tough gig. The Polish, I was like, they're all nice and they're obviously trying to do the right thing, but for a foreigner and an international, it's super hard. I mean, I had the right people around me though. My mechanics come to the hospital. Yep. They're Polish, so the doctors are doing all the right things, but just the next couple of days in the hospital, trying to get food or, at that stage when it was first injury, I couldn't move my arms. So, it was super tough to, I remember the second night in hospital and I was trying to have a sleep as best I could, but the light above me was on and I couldn't turn it off, and I was calling the lady over and can't move my hands. So I'm just pointing with my head, like looking at the light going, turn that off. And she just had no idea. So that light, like just something like that.
Something little.
And that's probably where it sunk in, the frustration.
Yep.
Once I got frustrated with what had happened to me, that's when it sunk in of like, shit, like what is going on? And I can't even get this lady to turn the light off, nor can I get up and turn the light off.
Something as simple as communication.
Yeah. So that was, now I look back, that was a huge moment. That was the saddest night, nearly of my life, to be honest. That was a crazy time. Tough week, like I said. That was a tough week.
I can't imagine it. Most people would find or be able to recall a moment that they started to panic. Was there ever that moment for you where the reality set in?
I mean, like I said, the first week was tough, but I mean, where it started to set in was probably, I did a week in Poland, and then we called a ambulance aeroplane back to England, where I went to a full rehabilitation centre, which was a great place in Buckinghamshire, in England, near Milton Keynes. So that was a great place. But about a month into the rehab there of figuring out what I can and can't do, and obviously getting a lot more knowledge of where I'm going to go and what my life's going to be and what do I want to do. I was living over there at the time and had Liz over there. Obviously, what are we going to do, for the future? Am I going to get a job here in Australia? Probably not. If I stayed there, I'd probably get one in Speedway in somehow. So, what do we want to do? But just so much, mate. It was a life change. So, probably about a month of trying to figure out where I'm at and where am I going to go, was probably where it sunk in of, shit, like this is life's changed. So that one I just had's gone. So let's figure out the new one I'm planning, and let's figure it out quick because it's coming. It's
Next
here.
step, yeah.
Griffin Air Conditioning offers the highest quality of air conditioning sales and service across the Sydney metropolitan area, providing installation and maintenance to commercial, domestic and industrial customers. Working with this team, you'll be guaranteed the latest services, technology and developments in the industry. Visit griffinair.com.au and tell them we sent you for a cool deal.
How important was it to have the lovely Lizzie by your side, a hand to hold, someone to comfort you?
You can't put words of you know, what it means and what it did for me and what it did for a lot of people around me too. Yeah, there's no words to describe it, mate. You know, I would feel like I would be a very sad guy in my life right now if I didn't have Liz, just due to, you know, what she does for me and how she makes me feel, and just the love she's got for me is like no other. And yeah, oh mate, those first, you know, now I've never really thought about it too much, but now I look back at those hospital days in England when she was there every day and every night. If I didn't have her there, like what would have it been? I just think it would have been a sad, lonely time. So yeah, very grateful, very grateful.
Sadly, you're not the first Speedway rider to suffer an injury like this. Did racers from the past in a similar position touch base? Were they able to inspire or drive you or comfort you in any way?
I would say comfort,
Yeah,
but look, not a great deal. A couple of the guys who were similar to me are a bit older, and some greats, mate. Per Jonsson, Eric Gunderson. So you know, there's been some greats. I'm not the first great, I guess, to go out, but yeah, no. Look, you know, before this happened to me, you would never think. You know, I never really thought about it, and you know, and I never raced the bike with fear, so it never crossed my mind of the dangers or anything like that. So,
the countless nights spent in hospital, was it a time you reflected on what you'd done in life, what you wanted to do, or what you could no longer do? Because they're three different things, and I'm trying to get a gauge of your mindset.
I would, yeah, okay, I get where you're going with that. You know, did I think about what? I mean, a mixture, right? Like probably at that point in time where I was gonna go, because you know, we were thinking moving back to Australia, and I'm thinking about Liz. You know, what we're gonna do together, and what's gonna be best for us in the future, and also myself too. So yeah, I would say the future, but a lot now, because I'm really established here in Australia, and to be honest, life's, you know, for me, life's great. I don't have any complaints, to be honest. But yeah, now there's a lot of reflection of, you know, I've thought of a lot lately as the Grand Prix are coming up. Where would I be today? You know, where would I? You know, I'd be in Poland racing right now, and what would have I achieved so far? You know, with the last 5 years. You know, so there's a lot of reflection, a lot more now, and for sure, you know, we talk about it with my mates.
You look at the TV now and think, I know I can beat him, and he's in third, so I'd be in second. Do you still that competitive edge?
I'm an analyzer. Yeah. I'm an analyzer. Like, you know, when I'm watching Speedway, I see things wrong straight away. And like I said earlier, like I'm trying to help my best mate at the moment, Ryan Douglas. So I'm always thinking about what they're doing wrong. So next time he's here, I can explain to him, hey, watch and learn. So. Yeah, I'm an analyzer. I've the first 3 or 4 years, within the last year, I've trained myself to step back a bit, because I was just watching it too much and just criticizing in my head what they're doing wrong, just because, I don't know, it's a new change in my life, and maybe I had some bad feelings towards it, but I end up teaching myself, hey, look, just enjoy it. Just watch it and enjoy it.
Don't pick it apart and enjoy it.
Don't pick it apart. So, it's changed a bit.
You're listening to Andy Raymond Unfiltered, the Legends series. We have corporate and private sponsorship packages available. You set the terms. For further information on how you can become part of the team, go to the website andyraymondunfiltered.com.au and hit the sponsorship tab.
What kept you going in the darker times? What was your push, your motivation, your drive?
Oh, probably Liz, to be honest. I mean, I don't know, mate. I don't know what my drive was. I mean, you know, there can be drives, there can not be drives. It is, you know, they're the cards that I'm dealt with. Yep. So I just tackle it with what I got. You know, just you know, I had a dream to move back to Australia and buy a house, get a dog. You know, we have a dog obviously you've met, and
The Great Bear.
the Great Bear, and it's Liz's first dog. So we had spoke about that in the hospital, and drew pictures together and all that kind of stuff and all that cute rubbish. But yeah. So that was the dream, mate. That was the goals, and here we are. We have it all. So, like I said, life's good, and just keep chasing, right?
Are you a naturally positive guy by nature?
I would say so. I mean, I have dark days, but like if I want to have one dark day a month, maybe.
Yeah.
And that dark day is just, we're only human. Everybody, everybody has it. I'm quite bouncy, and I'm quite positive. Like I said, I'm very grateful. Like I have a nice house, beautiful wife, life's good. I see kids from my rehab center. They just have nothing,
Yeah.
They have family and that, but like it's just tough. So I'm just grateful for what I got.
Those dark days, are they becoming fewer? Are they the days that you just think, fuck it, this is too hard?
Yeah. Those dark days are more of frustration. Obviously I'm only limited to do a certain amount of things, and my life when I was racing was unbelievable. I'm in 3 different countries a week. I got 3 people working for me. I'm dealing with sponsors. Like I'm my own manager. I'm racing. I'm making sure my bikes are good.
Living like a rock star.
Mate, living like a rock star. I'm also partying, once or twice a week. Depends how busy my week is. But I was a young kid with money.
Yep.
So, that comes with trouble too. But, all the stuff that comes with that I don't want to say because the wife's around, but just the partying and
people in Australia probably don't get just how big this is overseas. I mean, in the UK and Europe, Poland, Denmark in particular, absolute rock stars.
Yeah. Like my any town that the Speedway's in Poland, especially my hometown, which was Torrent. Like, we can't walk the streets. It's the same as the Broncos or whatever walking down Brisbane. 100%, everybody will know you. It's we would go out to restaurants and be harassed a lot, but I say harassed. That's probably not the right way to say it because we used to enjoy it. Me and my friend Chris, we were cool with all that kind of stuff. You don't get paid just to race. You get paid to be the sports person. So, look back and even during the time, mate, it was fascinating just to have people admire you. It's a crazy thing, but it's also a beautiful thing too.
Darcy, you a goal setter?
No, I'm not. Just run it.
Is that
just run it?
Yeah, think of something and go and do it. How big of a deal was getting out of the chair, even for a limited time, and doing so when you married Lizzie?
Yeah, it just was me standing up and everything.
Yep.
Yeah, and obviously, being confined to a chair, the body deteriorates quite quick. You can imagine sitting down every day, you would waste away, but so standing up is a huge part of my rehabilitation at the moment and will be for the rest of my life. But standing at the wedding, of course, was a goal of mine, although I don't have goals. But just to be at the end of the aisle, standing up, and just to be at eye level with Liz was a dream come true. And I can't thank everybody enough to help me achieve that. But it was a beautiful day, that's for sure.
Who do you think it was more special for seeing you on your feet for the wedding? You or Liz, or are we calling dead heat?
I would say Liz. I would say Liz.
Yeah.
Oh, even Liz sees me stand up. Hey. Liz sees me stand up. So I would say some other people, to be honest, that Liz comes to my rehab center and watches me work out and stand up a lot. So it's not too foreign for her of my current state. But for some people at the wedding who don't come to my rehab center, have only seeing me in the chair for a couple of years before that was probably a bit of a shock. Not a shock's the word, but a bit of a, they were fascinated to see me stand up again and obviously to do it on my wedding day. So
if you're enjoying Andy Raymond Unfiltered, the Legends series, we'd love for you to go to Apple, Spotify, or wherever you're listening and subscribe to the podcast and give us a 5-star rating and review. Best weekly review wins an Unfiltered Trucker's hat.
When you look back at your career, are you able to do it fondly, or do you try not to think about it?
In what regard?
Are you content looking back and reminiscing, or is that just not the type of guy you are, or does it hurt to do so?
No, I watch videos of myself.
Yep.
Main part of that is I'm trying to help my mate, like I said.
Yep.
So, obviously how good I was, there was a reason, and I was doing stuff right. So I'm also still studying myself to implant that into him.
A 2-time world champ in the under-21s. Athletes often say the first one is the most special. That was Croatia. Was it more special?
It was, because this was my first year in Europe. So I'm not a contender. I'm a 16-year-old kid that has just come from Australia, and it's his first year in Europe. So when we went down there, we weren't really. I mean, I was also already racing in Europe, so people were aware of what I could do.
But you're, as you said, you're a 16-year-old in an under-21 field.
Yeah,
you're not meant to win it.
I'm not meant to win it. So I was definitely the underdog. But we turned up. It was a good day for me. The track was a little bit rough. Didn't bother me. I was never worried about a rough track. And we went home and took the gold. And it surprised me. I had great help that year. I was racing in Poland, in the extra league for the first year, and so they supplied me with bikes, top mechanics, the whole deal. So I was quite fortunate to take a gold that day. But I definitely deserved it that day. I was on fire, and it was unexpected, but
take it.
You can't take it away.
Yeah. You debuted at the Big Dance, the Speedway Grand Prix in 2011, a couple of rounds. You sat out 2012. Then you won your first round of the championship, Copenhagen, in 2013. What are your memories of that night? Is that dreams come true?
Yeah, so that was I'd just come back from a broken shoulder. So I was out for 6 weeks, and it was my first race back. So also underdog, not meant to win. But so yeah, it was a good year for me that before I crashed. I was battling for the world championship, and then unfortunately went out to break my shoulder. Sat on the sidelines for 6 weeks with my scapula. Still feeling it. Then come back and did a practice day on that Thursday, and then won the Grand Prix on the Saturday. And that was huge for me. I was my first GP win, and obviously before I got injured, it was my first year in the Grand Prix, and I'd been battling. So to be able to come back straight from a shoulder injury and just surprise everybody, and I mean, to some people it was surprised, but some people it probably wasn't, because they knew how capable I was at that part of my career. So,
what's the highlight? Is there one night or one achievement that you look back on more fondly than anything else?
Not one. That's a tricky one. Maybe 2011 when I raced in the Grand Prix and got a third as a wild card.
Yep.
I was like 18 or 17. But to be honest, the highlight of my career was when I come back in 2015 from my suspension and come back focused. The years before, I was sort of focused. I mean, I was focused, but I wasn't doing the right things to be a champion. I took it for granted because I had a lot of natural talent, so I didn't have to work for it, which cost me in the end. But when I come back 2015, I was the best I'd ever been, and I was the best you could be. So I had 10 months off and had been motocrossing a lot. So obviously I'm training my brain and getting better on just any type of bike, And then when I come back in 2015, I was a level above everybody. Yep. So That was my, I got to come back and show everybody, hey, just remember, I'm here and I'm back. And, I remember a lot of people really remembering that kind of stuff,
How's the emotion now of watching, hearing and smelling the methanol when you head to the track to watch?
It's all right. I like helping the kids, like we spoke about off air, that I'm getting involved a bit more now. For the first couple of years of being back here in Australia and going to the track, I was just sitting up on a hill, and I was maybe I was a bit shy to go down there, and obviously being in a wheelchair, I'm not as confident as what I used to be, but it takes time to figure out who you are again and stuff like that. So I'm at that stage now, but so to be able to go back to the tracks now and be in the mix and help the kids and like you said, smell the methanol and oil and be down there, it's a blast, mate. I'm really enjoying it. It's the only way I can be involved in the sport now, so give it my all in that category. So I'm enjoying it. I think it's I'm still in love with the sport, and I still think it's great, and I can't wait to see what I can do with the kids in the future, and just keep being a part of it and try to build the sport. It's not as big here in Australia anymore, and it's died off because no one's really pushing it. So I've got a lot of goals with the sport for next year, and I had a couple this year, but COVID bloody took over. So we'll push for next year and just try to boost it that little bit more here in Australia and give these kids and teenagers the opportunity a bit more to be ready to tackle it for when they go over there.
The new Sydney Motorsport Park going in, proposal is that there's a solo track on the inside. That would be a huge shot in the arm, wouldn't it? And a must-have in the biggest city in Australia.
Oh, mate, that would be it'd be good for the sport. That's all it's going to be good for, and good for the kids. There's a lot of kids down towards Sydney way, and they got Curry down there at the moment. But you just want as many tracks as you can get. But it would be good to obviously a new facility is going to be nice, and to have a solo track in the middle. Who knows what we can get there. I'm obviously in very good connections with a lot of international riders, so I have huge plans for the sport here in Australia, but we're just stuck at the moment. But, Sydney can also, with a stadium like that, a complex like that, who knows? It doesn't have to always be in Brisbane. It can always be both. Obviously Brisbane's my heart, so I'm always going to push it here at Nudgee and do my stuff here, but we can always extend that to bigger and better.
What's the next chapter in your young life?
I would say it's back into Speedway. I've been really getting involved a lot lately, and I've been really enjoying it. And like I said, I have a lot of plans for next year to help the kids, and then to help the sport, and to do some kind of series. And when the boys come back from Europe in the summer, Speedway goes off here. It goes great. We get thousands of people, and we get meetings here and there, and everybody travels. And then they all go, and it stops, and the kids who we're trying to develop are forgotten about. They get their club days and their little stuff, but they don't get to race under the lights and be a part of the show and get their confidence up in front of crowds and that kind of stuff. So, I believe I'm the guy to mix it up and get it going again. So I'll give it a red hot crack, see what we got.
It's been a pleasure, Darcy Ward. You, sir, are a legend.
Cheers, mate.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Legends series. Throughout the month of September, we're dropping a new episode every third day. Be sure to subscribe to Andy Raymond Unfiltered wherever you're listening. And to ensure you don't miss any news on what's coming up, follow our social media pages at The Andy Raymond. Dropping Thursdays, starting October 1st, it's the Weekly Wodge. It's a little bit of this, plenty of that, a mix of the serious and the not so. interviews, segments, specials and special guests. If you enjoy the lighter side of the wonderful world of sport and fart jokes, you'll enjoy the Weekly Watch. Come back soon, legends.